Hello and welcome. I'm Tim and this is TimBatSea, and we did a job earlier today, and I wanted to give you a little context before we do it so you can see what's happening. So this right here is our chart plotter. This is Ambrose Channel coming in. The Verrazano Bridge would be here. This is the Upper Bay, Manhattan over here, Gowanus over here. This is Staten Island and Newark Bay over here. And what you are going to see is a video of us, there we go, coming down the bay like this, and we're coming around this island right here. Every once in a while, you're going to do a little house cleaning on the barge, and there's a place over here called Clean Waters that we go to and get things. They have a couple different yards. We're going to come down here. We have to come around, and it's all really funky over here. This is like old ruins and stuff like that. So we have to come down here, around here, and get over here. So that's what you're going to see us doing. Alright, welcome back as we are southbound in Newark Bay, approaching a place called the Old Bay Draw. There is no drawbridge here, but years ago, long before my time, there used to be. And even though there's just a couple ruins on either side, you can we still call the area the Old Bay Draw. So in other words, when we're checking in with traffic might say you got traffic at the Old Bay Draw, approaching the Old Bay Draw, that sort of stuff. That's what they're talking about. But we continue down through here. Straight ahead is going to be Staten Island. And, we've left Port Elizabeth, and on the left-hand side used to be the old Texaco docks. It was a long time ago. Now there's just some equipment over there. But we're just moving along here. Even though the barge is empty, we still have to check in with VTS, Vessel Traffic Services. We'll have told them our length and our deep draft, the deepest part of the two vessels. So in other words, if it's light right now, the deep draft would be on the tug about 13 or 14 feet, where when the barge is loaded it might be 18 feet for this barge, I think. And the Kilvan Coal is going to be perpendicular from in front of us. We just barely make out the Bayonne Bridge there on the left-hand side. Kilvan Coal will start out at the KV buoy and come all the way down around here by Port Ivory and over to the Goethals Bridge, or what we call and after that or before that I should say, the AK Railroad Bridge. And the AK would be for the Arthur Kills. The Arthur Kills goes down basically from north to south, that separates Staten Island from New Jersey. But we're moving along, and luckily there isn't a whole lot of wind. I've spoke before and said that the effect on the barge is greatly, the wind doesn't have much effect on a loaded barge. The light barge, because there isn't as much water resistance, because it's not in the water as much, and because so much of the barge is out of water, there's a large sail area, and so the wind can really have an effect on a loaded barge. A light barge, as opposed to a loaded barge where the wind has much less effect on it, and the barge is more affected by current, or what we refer to as tide. Now, just off to the right-hand side is going to be Shooter's Island, and we need to get into this spot just around the corner behind Shooter's Island. There is this facility that has a east yard and a west yard, and we're actually going to the east yard, and it's one of these places that cleans out barges and tugboats and all that sort of stuff. When a tugboat might do an oil change, it might have 450 gallons of oil or more between the two engines, and we put them in what we call a slop tank, and that has to go somewhere. So this place has the facility to suck all that out, and recycle it, and do whatever it is they do with it. But tank barges have to be cleaned too, especially usually if you have a clean oil barge that you're going to put black oil in. You usually don't need to clean that. Now remember, I'm not a tankerman, so I'm just talking about what I think. This is not my area of expertise. But I can tell you that years ago, there was it was common practice when people weren't quite as in tune with protecting the environment as they are today. Tankers would use a system called a butterworthing system, which was kind of like a spray system that would spray high-pressure water into the tanks and pump the residue overboard. And in fact, when I was growing up as a kid, my grandmother, Paquita, who my sailboat is named after, SV Paquita, she actually lived on the Costa del Sol in Spain, and it was very common for us kids back in the day when we'd be playing down on the beaches of Malaga and Torremolinos, and to come back and have our feet black. And what would happen is there'd be, in amongst the sand, there'd be these little, basically small, like a small marble-sized ball of tar, and that was from the butterworthing operations that they did in the Mediterranean back then. But other than damaging the environment, every once in a while these tankers would actually blow up, and so badly that they didn't really understand what was happening until they finally figured it out, that the butterworthing process of spinning, a spinning thing that was spinning high jets of water around inside each of the tanks was actually creating a static charge. And a lot of the heavy oils like crude and that sort of stuff have the butane and the methane and propane all in there, and all kinds of other volatile things, and cause them to blow up. But anyway, in this particular time, I'm not sure exactly why we're doing this. It usually takes a few days or even a week to clean a barge this size out, but they were able to do this in about a day, and so I imagine they just had one tank that they wanted to clean out, that they put something different in or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but when the barges get loaded and discharged, a third party comes in and takes samples, and so they can verify what goes into each tank and that sort of thing. So this is a company that sucks everything out, and like I say, they clean it all up, and they do whatever they need to do. So kind of helps out. But anyway, that's our destination straight ahead, and it's this barge. There's another barge tied up to it, but I believe it's a spud barge, so in other words, it's going to be right there. And as we're looking at this, we're noticing that one is that the edges of the barges are very low, so our Yokohamas, the big fenders on the side, probably won't get down and make contact with the barge because they can't get that far down. And when we're looking, we're seeing only like one or two very small tires on this barge. So now I know that I can't really kind of go in there. I got to get in there, be really gentle with this. Now, if you look on the left-hand side of the barge by the pump house, you'll see a tugboat. We are bringing an assist tug with us, and the idea is that when we get in there, we can use him so that we can very gently go up against that barge. Like I say, sometimes some of the barges can get their Yokohamas all the way down, but most of them don't. In a normal operation, you never have to go that low, because these big fenders, or what we call the Yokohamas, are really designed to be with a ship or another barge the same size, where this one's relatively low. So we are not sure how this is all going to work. I'm going to try it out and adjust from there. But on the left-hand side, as we go in here, you'll also see a different spud barge, and that's why I don't have our assist tug up in the bow. I have a midship because I've done this before. Oh, you can see the tankerman's putting the Yokohama all the way down now, so he's got the one down in the bow and the one down here in the stern. And like I say, we were undecided whether or not this was going to have any effect or not, but we had him down there. We figured we could always lift him up later. But the reason why I didn't put the assist tug all the way up there in the bow was that I've been in here before, and I know that he's going to run out of room. And as we get in there, you'll see what I'm talking about. When he gets out to a 90, he's only going to have a few feet, if that, and when he gets into where he's at, and that's being halfway down at the barge, halfway down the length of the barge. So it'll make more sense when we get in there, so bear with me. But coming over, I remember doing this. I was very concerned because I kept feeling myself getting the stern of the stern of the unit, or the tugboat, was going from left to right. Now I want to go and bring that bow to the left, but if I do that and the stern continues to fall down, I run the risk of going past parallel with the other barge. And that way, that would mean that the barge that we're going up against would have a point that might stick into the side of our barge. So that's something that I'm very concerned with. I can't drive it straight in either, so I have to be able to slide down there. But like I say, I can always move it later, but I'm worried that I'm falling down. And it looks kind of, now that we're not in the moment, looking at this now, I'm saying, well, it doesn't look that bad to me. But I remember being there, always concerned, saying, oh, I really feel like I'm falling down. I got to be careful about this. So in doing that, what I'll do is I'll start twisting, and I'll start trying to slow the lateral movement. Remember, I can move forward and I can move back relatively easy. What's very hard to do is to move sideways. And once you get, even a light barge has, there's a lot of steel in there. There's a lot of weight anyway. So once you get something moving sideways, it's very difficult to stop it. So my plan right here is to get in there and get enough on there and land it flat before I go past being parallel. In other words, the barge would continue to twist to the left. And I don't want that to happen. Now I start to do something in order to take care of this, where I need to keep that bow as close as I can to the barge ahead of us, but I can't push. It would be nice just to come 30 feet off the barge and then have the assist tug push us over, but you'll see there isn't room for that. So what I do here is, remember the assist tug just has a bow line up, and it's up amidship. So I start having him back, and that backing part actually starts pulling the bow out. So I will start putting my rudder hard to starboard and pushing against him, and that will lift my stern up. And you might say, well, why are we lifting that? I'm trying to do that to slow that natural progression of me sliding sideways from left to right. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys or not, but that was what I was trying to do. And having him back and me push against him is kind of holding his bow right close to the barge, and we get closer and closer, and I'm slowly flattening out with him and doing our thing. Okay, so you can see the barge with the white part on the bow. That is on the outside of the barge that we're going to, the spud barge that we're going to. It's just now coming in, and you can see I've got us just about parallel. I think the bow is actually probably closer, but you can see on the left-hand side where there isn't a whole lot of room, and I still have the tugboat backing so that I can drive into him, and I can by pushing or not pushing. If I slow down, the bow will come to the left. If I push ahead, the bow will go to the right. And so I can do that without having him get too much at a 90. And then eventually he'll get to a 90, and you can see where that spud barge is. He's going to be very, very close. Like literally feet in there. So I've got to stay as close to this barge as I can. Signature move. That's I don't know why I had trouble with that, but Growler Jams would say signature move. No big deal. So now we're coming up. I think that because of the rake of our barge and this barge being like it is, probably wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if we went metal to metal and kind of moved down it really easily, but it'd be better if we didn't do any of that. And so kind of lucky here, everything went well. Kept having the deckhands talk me off, so I was about 5 feet off this whole way down. The stern would be more off than that, because remember, I can wiggle the stern, but it's the bow that I really need to keep up there. So now we get it up there, and they're trying to get some lines up there, and now you can see the assist tug is working out to a 90. And unfortunately, because of the new way that we're shooting this stuff, where I don't have any control of the cameras, that's kind of part of the deal of the new way we're doing this, is to make sure that I don't have any distractions in the wheelhouse, or anybody for that matter. And one of the bad things about that is that I'm not able to move the camera. I'd love to move the camera to the left so you could see the back of the assist tug and how much room he has on that spud barge, and you'd see that it'd be very, very little. Now, I've discussed this in length in other times, but for some of the newer viewers, when I say a spud barge, we're not talking about barges with potatoes. Spuds are actually these vertical columns that are driven down into the mud, and they're kind of independent of the barge, so they sit in their own wells. So as the tide comes and goes, the barge goes up and down the columns, but the columns are securing it to the seabed. And that arrangement is called a spud barge. So now we've got some lines out, spotting us, getting us right to where they need to be. And the assist tug's probably working on us with one engine dead slow. Sometimes you guys might have heard us say clutch ahead on 1 or clutch ahead on 2, clutch astern on 1, clutch astern on 2, that sort of stuff. People say, what does that mean? Well, the most simplest definition is that it would be minimal power, either on one engine or 2 engines. And it goes back there. We don't actually use a clutch. There's a clutch in the reverse gear, or what we would call the reverse gear. Some people might call it, I think overseas you guys call it the gearbox or transmission or something like that. But anyway, there are automatic clutches in there and shaft brakes and that sort of stuff, so that when you have a big 8 or 10 foot wheel that's spinning, when you go to neutral, you have to stop that rotation, because it'd be very hard to get that going the other way if it was still, there's a lot of kinetic energy or, torque as it's turning. So when we go to neutral, shaft brakes are applied to stop the rotation, and then the clutch will engage and it will bring it into reverse or whatever. And so when we say clutch 1, what we're really saying is that we need the throttle levers just up against the clutches. Now, like I say, there is no clutches there. It's all done in the transmission or the reverse gear. And so we're just saying it. And people might say, well, why don't you say dead slow? Yeah, we could, we could also say current, but we say tide. So it's kind of just the vernacular in the industry, and that's what we do. So that's it. So now it looks like everything's good. The assist tug's pushing on us. You can kind of almost see his stern almost up against that spud barge. And now the guys will be going and tying the barge up and getting everything done that way. And this might be a good time for me to thank all the new viewers that are watching. I really appreciate that. If only about 22% of you guys are actually 22% of the people that watch my videos are subscribed. And if you'd like to help out the channel, we're really kind of like it if you subscribe. You don't get any emails from us or anything like that. You just hit the little subscribe button. It doesn't cost you any money or anything like that. And it does great for the algorithm to try to get the content out to more people. So that's a way you can give us a like, a share, all that sort of stuff. You can hit the super thanks if you like. There's a guy, Tony, that super likes many videos. And Tony, if you're out there, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Don't think I don't notice. I really appreciate it. But if that's not enough, if you're getting anything out of these videos and you like them, you can, obviously there's no pressure to do this whatsoever, but if you'd like to be a part of our Patreon crew, we'd love to have you over there. Patrons spend about $2 a month, sometimes up to $10 a month, but most of them are around $2, $3, $4, $5 a month. And it's real tangible proof that you guys find value in the efforts I put into making these. And one last thing, don't forget to check out SV Paquita, my other channel. We've got some new content out there and more stuff coming all the time. And I think this winter we're going to be heading for the Bahamas, so that should be really fun. You guys take care, be safe, and as always, I'll see you on the one. Hey, it's Tim again. Just wanted to thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. We're working our way through this new format. Hope you guys are liking it. And as time goes by, hopefully we'll get better at it and that sort of stuff. But thank you so much. Many of you have been with me for many years. Some of you are new. I appreciate all of it. If you haven't subscribed, please do. It really helps out the channel. And like, thumbs up, all that sort of good stuff. Share all that YouTube stuff. That really helps out the channel a lot. But you can also become a patron, and we'd love that. Our patrons get ad-free content early, and special videos for them, and other access things too. But you could really help me out and do me a solid if you go over and check out my other channel, SV Paquita. I'll put links below for all the stuff. So in the description box, you'll see where you can sign up for Patreon if that's your thing for a couple dollars a month, or you could click over to SV Paquita and subscribe over there. That really helps me out. You guys take care, be safe, and as always, I'll see you on the one.